Hello traders and welcome to the week outlook and setups volume 134. Iliya here, and as always I'm really grateful to have you on the channel. As you know, in this video we're going to have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. This one was actually very nice. We started with some nice trending markets even from Monday, but of course the market was expecting Wednesday night for me, which was of course normal US time, for the speech of Mr. Powell, the Fed, the interest rate decision, and also the projections for the year ahead. So after this we actually had the real move, because pretty much the Fed was hawkish, which means bullish, right? So they had some good news, of course, for the labor market and also for raising the interest rates, which of course can be read in many different ways. We also see the stock market, how it reacted. We're currently in a little bit of a crash. So I pretty much this month I made one of my biggest investments in my career during this crash, because you know money is made during crashes. And yeah, but pretty much still it's a little bit uncertain on how it's going to develop, because pretty much Mr. Powell did not say something very specifically. He said that yes, the interest rate can be increased, especially starting from March, but he did not specify by how much and on what kind of intervals they're going to be doing it. So pretty much things are still uncertain, but as we can see, the dollar is soaring, so we just have to follow momentum, because we can see that money is clearly being poured into the dollar. But of course we're going to jump right now into the analysis. This week unfortunately I did not take any trades. I found myself trying to short EU all week. Missed it on Monday. I was just waiting for more confirmation, then it didn't provide, and then it didn't tap any of my areas. It just kept flushing. So I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm just slightly bit disappointed because I expected the moves. Everything was very clear. We had some nice trending markets, but just failure of execution and pretty much a failure of ticking all my rules, which is of course fine, and sometimes it's gonna happen. So of course we focus on to the next month. We're going to have the monthly candle closure. I think in a couple of days. Yeah, I think pretty much on Tuesday we're going to close it. So next week we're going to do a monthly analysis, and we're also going to pick up a giveaway winner. So yes, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, turn on the notification bell in order not to miss any videos that are going to come out pretty soon actually. And before we start, I want to mention about an amazing broker, especially for crypto and stocks, that is Forex.com. It is great. As I said, they have great spreads as well, and they also have an eco account, which you pay some commission, but every lot that you trade goes towards planting 10 trees. And I definitely do support their eco accounts, so make sure to check them out. Check all the links down in the description, and also check out the timestamps that are left in the video so you can actually navigate easily throughout the pairs. Right now, let's get started. Let's as always start with the DXY, which was pretty much the highlight of this week. And of course we have been breaking this pair down for quite a while, and the outcome was bullish, and we pretty much started the year in a very nice manner. As you can see right here, since November all the way till the beginning of January, we were stuck in this sort of consolidation. So we opened January, we had a nice pullback week that pretty much tapped into the overall range right here of 50%, and right now we just created a new higher high, which is beautiful. And again, if you remember, we have been kind of reacting from this zone right there, but what I told you is that this is just a reaction for the market to pull back and then to potentially explode higher, which is pretty much what happened. So I'm very happy with this analysis. And of course, the only thing is that I did not manage to capitalize too much on longs on the Dixie. I was taking longs on EU the other week, which was kind of a nice profitable trade that I had. But pretty much, yes, the higher time frames were perfectly bullish on the DXY. So what we can expect right now, or pretty much as the market right now is making a new structure break, we can start targeting higher levels. For me, the first area that is going to be taken out is this one. Let's mark it with okay, yeah, I'm just gonna keep it like this, but pretty much this is the zone that we reacted from, and if this zone did not cause anything to the downside, then this zone is pretty much going to be taken out. So 97.8 is my first target, and looking forward to 98 to actually get tapped. And of course, then the next big supply that I see is this one. This is potentially where we can stop for a good amount of time and then to potentially start either initiating lower or, as always, initiate a pullback that can take, like you can see, for a couple of weeks. Okay, but currently it is perfectly bullish. We're targeting 97.8, and the immediate question that is appearing right now, are we going to have a pullback? Well, as you can see, usually when the pairs start launching with a lot of momentum and they just create a new higher high, let's for example take this example right there. So we just made a higher high right there, and you might say, okay, cool, so the market has to pull back right now and then to push higher. But no, you can see it just opened right here, created a very little wick, and then had a massive bullish engulfing candle. So I think as investors right now are starting to position themselves within the dollar, pretty much raising interest rates. This is good for the dollar because more money is going to be poured there, because of course it's going to have a higher return on savings accounts and all of that stuff. And we have seen the stock market decline, but it doesn't make too much sense because the labor market is very strong. This is what Mr. Powell indicated, and he said that also raising interest rates will not cause the market, the labor market, to really decline or crash or really cause any pain to people. Okay, and I pretty much think actually raising the interest rates a little bit is good to balance out the economy, to balance out inflation, because it has gotten out of hand. Okay, but pretty much this is bullish for the dollar, and as you can see, this has been priced even since we reversed from here. Pretty much probably it was known that the market is going to raise the rates, and we have seen a very nice uptrend since then. So what we have to do is just keep following it. Okay, so currently our major higher low is this one. So as long as we remain above this one on the weekly, we're bullish. Then the next question comes in, are we going to have any sort of pullback? Okay, well, in the ideal world, we would like to see around 50% pullback of this leg, but of course this is the ideal world. Okay, because at a time, let's say the market initiated right here, it started stopping right there for a day, then we say, okay, 50% pullback. Nope. Then it started stopping right there, 50% pullback. Nope, keep pushing higher. Okay, so what I would tell you guys to do is just adapt. Right now, there is nothing much to cover. Why? Because we just have a massive uptrend. Okay, and we saw our level. We have seen this beautiful uptrend right there, just creating very simple higher highs and higher lows. Very nice. And what we have is also this huge wick. And what I tell you about wicks is they usually tend to get tapped and filled towards 50%. So this is a potential zone that we can actually look at. Okay, maybe if I take a look, yeah, it's such a huge wick, it doesn't even form structure. It's such a huge wick right there that also broke this little low right here. No, it didn't even break it, it formed perfectly equal. So yeah, but this is pretty much the higher low formation that I would use. Okay, and as you can see, the 4-hourly time frame at the top is starting to show a little bit of signs right there. So we made a higher high, we pull back. This looks like a higher low because it broke the high. Then we actually broke this higher low, so we're currently in a pullback. So I would really love for us, but again, I would love, this is not supposed to happen, or it's probably not gonna happen because we can just open and push higher. I would really love to see a little bit of a pullback. So if I at least drop this range, like not a daily range, I would really like to see at least a little bit of a pullback towards this zone, like 96.5, and then from there we can long it, okay? But this is in the ideal world, so what could happen is we can just pull back a little bit, maybe tap into some sort of 15-minute level right here, and then just continue to explode, okay? On the 15-minute, as I said, we're starting to see a little bit of a shift, so I really don't want to call the top. I really don't want to say, well, we should be shorting right now, but we have a very slight chance of actually having this. So pretty much in the 15-minute, we have changed a little bit of structure. So on Monday, if we have a tap inside this level and if we have a strong reaction that also causes, for example, a break of this structure, then I can start looking for shorts, potentially to take it down just a little bit, maybe to catch some longs on EU. And then my main focus will be to long the dollar, okay, because we know our targets, which is 97.8, but right now the biggest question is what kind of pullback are we going to have. Keep in mind that we are also about to end the monthly candle, okay, so pretty much I would really love if the new monthly candle starts with a little bit of a wick to the downside, with a little bit of a push down, and then it starts to explode higher. Okay, so what this is going to create is a candle like this with a nice wick to the downside, and then potentially, let's make this blue, potentially a push into the highs like this. Okay, so I'm even giving you some insights for next week on the monthly analysis. But yes, this is pretty much my outlook on the DXY. I am bullish. Potentially we can trade a little bit of a pullback, but again, stay mindful that the market is bullish and don't try too hard to short it. But on any sign of a nice pullback, then just position yourselves and start taking longs. Euro USD is such a lovely development. As you can see, so pretty much my first target was this low. After this nice push, after this very nice correction, after creating the lower high, and we also saw the shift on the daily and on the 4-hourly. This was the first target, and then of course the second one was this one, because this was that level that the market reacted from but failed to cause anything to the upside. So this immediately becomes liquidity, and as you can see, both of those levels are tagged out right now. So where is potentially the market traveling towards? Well, I would love to actually drop this little range, which could be a potential zone that we can start taking profits at or start looking for potential pullbacks. Okay, so currently, again, on the weekly time frame, the ideal scenario will be to drop a 50% range and then to potentially wait to see a top of this weekly level right here. But again, the market is not supposed to make a massive 200 pips down and then to pull back 200 pips up. Okay, this is not going to look good. So let's be realistic and let's try to see at least if we can pull back somewhere. The daily pushed right here, consolidated for a little bit and then massively dropped. So since the 24th of January, you can see that we didn't even create a wick higher. We just started flushing, little pullback, flushing, little pullback, and then we just flushed on Wednesday. Okay, I had numerous limit orders this week on EU. I was waiting for my levels, but none of those levels tapped. And of course, later I didn't adapt because my trading plan says you want to trade from 15-minute levels. And if they didn't tap, then they continue to break. Then I, of course, adapted to the new levels, but neither of them tapped. And also with my team on Thursday, each Thursday we host a webinar around hour, sometimes hour and a half, where I break down every single one of my trades, every single development, every single little detail. And in fact, I did not have any trades at that time, and we back tested the whole week of EU, and there were opportunities. But the opportunities occurred either in no trading time. So for example, this first pullback occurred at 7 o'clock right there, which was pretty much around 8:30. So I'm definitely not trading at that time. Then we pushed. Then the next one appeared during Asian session. It was like 2 to 3 o'clock, right? And then of course there was another miss right there at 7 o'clock. So all of the shorting opportunities happened kind of outside of trading time. But yes, let's not focus on that, but let's see what could potentially happen. So where did the leg start? Well, pretty much from here. This is really where the leg initiated, and what I will do is I will just drop a little 50% range to see where we could potentially pull back. And as you can see on the 4-hourly, so let's just explore what is happening. We had a little bit of a lower low right there, but just with a wick. Then this could be a lower high, then we massively pump into the high. So we pretty much have this bearish bullish formation and a very strong bullish candle. So this is like Friday taking profits, okay? And right now we're pulling back, and you can see those two rejection candles. So what I would really love to see is, once again, a little pullback towards the 50% or towards at least some sort of a level. We can see on the hour we have a little inside bar right there. So we can also use this one just for a normal for a normal take profit level to potentially take a long. You can see on the hour we had this flush, then we had this massive engulfing candle, and then the market started filling all of this bullish engulfing candle. And currently right now we are stuck right here in the middle. So what I would love to see is if we're really actually going to kick in some bullish flow on this market. We had this overall area that we could have potentially taken longs on Friday. I was actually monitoring for some, but once again, even if you wanted to take, so the first long that I wanted to take, I think was from here. It didn't tap. Then the second long was from here. It didn't tap. Nothing taps this week, and I'm not going to go and explore all my missed trades this week because it doesn't make sense. But yes, currently, again, what I'm looking for on EU, just to keep it as simple as possible, is for a pullback towards the 50%. And even sometimes in trending markets like this, you can drop the 38.2. So as you can see, pretty much this little zone right there aligns with the 38.2. So after we tap right here, I will be ready for shorts. So let's hope that the DXY is going to give us a little bit of a bearish pullback, which means that EU is going to give us a little bit of a bullish pullback. On Monday, of course, we can start looking for the market spiking inside these areas right here. But of course, I'm going to give it some time for it to shift and then to potentially take a nice long target this high, and as soon as this high is taken, then we'll start taking profits and start looking for overall shorts, because we know that our overall targets will be down there around 1.10. Okay, you can see the 62 fib also perfectly aligns with this zone. So let's see how this one is gonna grow. I just hope that the market is not gonna open and start massively pumping to the downside, but if it does, we're gonna have a pump, we're gonna have a pullback, and then potentially we just keep following the structure. Okay, so to sum it up, bearish bias on EU, waiting for a little bit of a pullback, a possibility to take a long on Monday and Tuesday, and then potentially Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we can be looking for shorting. So stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis, where we're going to also break down the market, see how it developed, and what kind of opportunities we can have around that time. Let's have a look at Euro Yen. So we can see that the momentum is starting to slow down. We had a nice bearish candle right there. Then the next one was really nice, but then this one's kind of even consolidated for a little bit, but it's overall bearish. It made a new lower low, so that is perfect. But what we can also see is that the market is potentially encountering some sort of support, possibly from here, or demand. And looking also at EU, if EU initiates a little bit of a pullback to the upside, then possibly EJ is also going to have a slight pullback. So let's explore how does this look on the daily. Yeah, you can see 24th, little push down, bullish candle, down, up, down. So it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. As I told you, an overall kind of consolidative wick. So what can we extract from the daily? Well, potentially we can say that the market is reacting from this level, because again, this level is important. It launched a lot of orders into the highs. It caused the market to pull back, but pretty much this was a lower low. So right now our targets are, of course, to see a break of this low. But currently, can we probably see a little bit of a pullback? A potential level, if we start exploring, I really like this wick right there, which is not like extreme up there, but it's more like towards 50% if we drop this move right there. Let me clear the fib. This one is way too messy. Yeah, you can see it's exactly 50%. Let's explore it on the 4H. Yeah, you can clearly see that the market is right now starting to chop. It's starting to accumulate. So at this period, we actually do not know what to expect. Okay, we can put some logic into it. I would personally avoid looking for something like this, because if you really start melting to the downside, then this low is very close to be broken. And as we said, we're pretty much looking for a break of this low right there. So trying to really long it and look for a massive reversal like this will not make too much sense. Okay, but currently if I zoom in and try to identify where is my major lower high, we had a break right here. The market then pulled back. We did not have a body break right there, which is fine. And pretty much I would say these wicks were my lower high. We wicked it once again, which is not a break. Then we pushed into the downside. We are tapping inside this kind of wick. So again, if we just keep it simple, what is this market doing, guys? Right? It's consolidating. Okay. So we're currently stuck in a little consolidation. So how do we approach consolidations? Well, we wait for the market to show us where it wants to go. As I said, potentially this level right here looks very nice to me. It is a nice kind of range, then the massively initiated to the downside, and it hasn't pulled back up there. So we can say right now that this one is pretty flat pricing to get taken out, and then to potentially see a move lower. But if we start moving lower, I would personally love to start following the momentum instead of looking to see a reversal from here, because we are bearish on the weekly, on the daily, everything is bearish. So trying to take a long from here does not make any sense. So again, it depends on how the market is going to open. On the hour right now, nothing too much to extract. It's pretty much ranging. So if we start with a nice pushes into the highs like this, then potentially we can either just look to take it into the wick right there, and then if the wick breaks, then we can potentially expect to see like 129,500. And then from there, we can really look for a nice short to potentially start seeing it to the downside. But with the current conditions, as we have seen massive trends in the market, and also this really depends on EU, if EU is going to initiate a pullback, because if EU does not initiate a pullback to the upside, then this one is just going to drop. And again, my tip will be, if it drops, then just wait for a lower high and keep following the momentum down. Okay, so pretty much those are my two outcomes. This one is a bit too extreme. We can react from this wick, keep in mind. So if you tap into this wick and then you start seeing shifts on a lower time frame, then definitely start adapting. The overall outcome I would like to see is short, so beware with longs and keep shorting. Of course, listen to your strategy, but those are my key levels that I will be looking at. And currently, if I was trading this pair, I would just let it go, give it some time, and wait for something clear to develop. Very nice development also on the Aussies. Again, Aussie USD just met our first target, which is right here. Of course, immediately afterwards, we have this low, which we said it's gonna break. It broke. And right now, potentially, this market is traveling towards this range, which is just about to tap. And from here, we can potentially expect some sort of a reaction, some sort of a pullback. So it's nice, right? So we have 69.5 and we have 69 level, which we can potentially tap and then initiate a pullback, okay? But we still have some space to travel towards those areas. We're just tapping right here the open, but that does not mean that we're just gonna tap and reverse, okay? The level that makes sense to me on the daily is this one, but again, can we pull back all the way up? I don't think so, right? We have massive 3 candles of pushes right here. So it doesn't make sense to have a few candles of the same pullback, which is pretty much going to be an indecision. Okay, so I will be looking somewhere towards the middle, or if this is my range, I do believe that this should be also my full hourly range. Yeah, slightly tricky because we have those little pullbacks right there that kind of create more or less minor structure. This is what you call minor structure within the daily leg, but in terms of the 4H, it's pretty much major, right? And it depends on how you actually utilize the time frames. But currently, there is nothing too much to say about Aussie, right? We had a nice short right there again with the interest rate. It just liquidated, massively dumped. There were a couple of other opportunities on the 15-minute. I was also monitoring it, but again, it wasn't that nice, right? We pretty much since 24th, so we had a nice long ride there on 24th, and then since 25th, boom, consolidation, the whole 26th, and then just on the 26th, we actually launched to the downside, okay? So let's see what we can potentially expect. Well, I would really love to drop this daily leg, okay? And this structure right here, of course, it's kind of major. It's not the best one, but the first area at the 50% of the daily leg is this one. So if I see the market pull back towards this level, I will be ready to short, okay? Keep mindful of this zone, because what I told you is that when we have strong markets, the market tends to also respect 38.2, which is right here, slightly bit above, but of course, perfectly in the ideal situation, which is most of the times not the case, I will be looking to short from this level on AU, okay? And if you're looking for a counter trend, I would advise you to wait for a very clear 15-minute shift, which we currently have across. We saw on EU also, we're starting to have a little bit of bullishness, right? You can see that we kind of shifted right there, we tapped. So if this one then becomes your higher low, you can see that the higher low actually is getting respected right now. So if we probably have another break, then we can have another retest, and then we can start riding it into the highs, then potentially towards this level, and then seeing a very nice short that is potentially going to take us into 69.5 and even lower, okay? So again, my bias is shorts on AU. The biggest question is, are we going to have a pullback? If we have a pullback towards like 0.7060, definitely going to short from here. But yeah, if we start pushing to the downside immediately, then I would advise you to just follow the momentum. Don't try to catch the bottom right now, because the market is entering in very clear trending markets. So trying to catch the bottom is only going to cost you money, okay? So ideally, once again, looking for a pullback and a continuation down. If this doesn't happen, if we break structure to the downside, looking for a pullback and continuation lower. This is as simple as I can make it, okay? And Aussie JPY, also nicely dropping to the downside, created a nice wick this one to the upside, and then it started melting to the downside. So the first target that we can achieve is this low right here, which we're currently traveling towards. Why? Because as I told you, this was a reaction. It nicely reacted, it nicely pulled back, and right now we're just flushing, potentially about to tap into this one. And then of course we can react from this inside bar, which is just next on the list, right? But this is supposed to be broken as well, because this low did not cause a break of the high, and pretty much we were trading within this range. So we had a push, pullback, and right now this low is also supposed to be broken. But what I tell you about those levels, they usually tend to give a reaction, so we can tap inside, react, and then break. So this is pretty much, again, more of a long-term play that we might see throughout February and even March. No, I think February is fine, okay? So this level is invalidated. I am just looking for this level to get tagged out. Is it going to happen first thing during the week? Yeah, actually on Monday. We have to see, in terms of the daily, we have our major daily lower high right here. So we can immediately drop our range, which still hasn't, oh, sorry, this is the 4H actually. Yeah, the daily is up there. The daily is up there, but I'm not going to take it from there. Why? Because I would like to focus on the 4H. Because if you focus on the daily right now in such massive trending markets, you're never going to get the pullback. So this is actually the structure that broke the previous structure right there. So this is our major lower high. So if we as soon as we tap 50%, I will be looking to short. Okay. But yes, currently in terms of any pullbacks, the 50-minute hasn't shown much. Yes, we had like this lower high right there that was taken with a body close, but I would love to see this personally. For me to take a long, this will be my pattern, and I would be taking it from here, okay, dropping it, taking it into the supply area, and then from there looking for a short. So again, all the pairs are currently looking the same. All of them are very nicely extended to the downside or to the upside. The biggest question is, are we going to start with a pullback? Is the monthly candle going to open with a nice pullback and then we can have a whole month of sell-off? This would be ideal case. So of course, let's focus because January is over, which was kind of supposed to be a tricky month, and it was. There were some lovely opportunities, but it was overall tricky. So right now we're getting into some trending markets. So let's try to capitalize as much as possible. Okay, so AJ looking for a pullback and a continuation down. First target 80.2, and then looking to see if we're going to have any reaction within like 80 all the way towards 78. This is a big zone and it's gonna take some time. So let's see. A very nice drop also on the NZDs. As you can see, we also had a bearish engulfing candle from the last week, and this one just opened and just plummeted to the downside. So currently we're potentially about to take all of this flat pricing right here because we failed on the first one, and then all of it is potentially going to be taken. And as we can see, like the next real demand area on the weekly is right here. So we have plenty of space to actually short this market. On the daily, we have quite a few days of consecutive bearishness, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of massive bearish pressure. So this one is definitely in need of a pullback, but currently it is wrong to kind of go on the left and say, okay, support or demand, I'm going to try to go long. Nope. What you can simply do is just watch out the structure. As soon as you start seeing some bullish candles, then the market is going to shift on the lower time frame, and then of course you can start looking for some pullbacks. But overall, if you ask me, the last kind of clear range was this one. Then we initiated clearly from here. Then we gave a few stops right there. But if I take this as my major structure, which of course the lower low hasn't formed yet because we just keep flushing and flushing and flushing lower. But this level in the middle is something similar to AU, I think, is what we have. If we pull back towards this zone right here, I will be looking for shorts. Okay, but currently we have to wait for the lower low to form, which means that we need to have like a little pullback right there, tap inside, and then potentially to continue lower. So this market is fully short. I am not trading NZDs, so I'm not sure why is this so bearish like for quite some time, right? Let me know, maybe some of you NZD fans. But yes, overall, I am bearish on this pair. Very simple analysis. Push on the 4H, pulling back towards 50% and then shorting it again. If you wish to go long, wait for something on the 50-minute. And as you can see, this one is currently actually making a lower low. So in order for me to take a long, I will need to see a break of this structure, pull back, and then to potentially see retracement towards this zone. And then from there, we can start looking to short it. Okay, but pretty much if you're just swing trading or if you don't care about pullbacks, just wait for the market to give you a pullback and then keep shorting it. Okay, and NJ, I guess it will be the same. Yep, very nice drop to the downside. So unlike AJ, which is just about to break this one, if you remember, NJ has already broken it and it's much below it. So potentially we are even going to target this level right now. If we have a look on the day, potentially we can expect some sort of a reaction, at least a reaction from here, because this one caused a massive push, right? And we're just tapping inside. And if we have a look on the daily, let's try to focus on the most recent price. So we have this little daily pullback. I am not looking at swings right now because it doesn't make sense to drop a swing like this. And this is where some of you might go wrong right now and then end up missing trades in those trending markets. Then zooming in on the 4H, where is my major 4-hourly lower high? We had a break here, so then this becomes my major one. Then we actually pulled back and then we broke again. So there is a new break of structure. So my major one becomes this one right here. We have this one in the middle, which of course the market can respect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna simply drop my range like this. And similarly to NU, a lower low has not formed yet. So we simply have to wait for the lower low to form, then the market initiate a pullback, 2 levels to short from. There is the first one around 76 and the second one is slightly bit higher. Okay, so wait for the market to pull back, tap inside short. If this fails, then you can have something like this, short it again, and the chance is very high that you're gonna have a success. Because if this zone fails, then pretty much it means that we're going to tap into the higher zones, right? So that means that we can even take some longs. If the market, of course, decides to shift, which I don't think is very likely in this massive bearish momentum. But of course, sometimes, yes, we can have a pullback of the daily leg. Okay, but most of the times you just want to follow the 4H because when the momentum is big, you want to go with it. Okay, and don't look for big pullbacks. So this is my current outlook. Very simple on the NZDs, looking for shorts, but of course on all pairs we are in the need of some sort of a pullback. So let's wait for those ones to tap and then we strike. USD JPY, after the Fed speech, we have a very nice pump into the highs, which of course across the JPY pairs, they flushed, which does not make a lot of sense. But yes, this was mainly due to the Fed's news. And again, as I told you, we're pretty much bullish on this market. So we had a push, we had a very nice pullback, and potentially right now we can expect a new break for a new higher high. Let's see if this is feasible. Of course, yeah, on the daily time frame, we pulled back into this area. We tapped inside first. We tried to push higher. We failed. Then we tapped in again. And we just took out this low by very little. But since then, you can see actually on the 26th, which was the day, we massively expanded into the highs. And we broke above this structure. Okay, so pretty much right now, we are on this daily push into the highs. We have created a new... Those should be blue. We have created a new higher low formation. We have a massive pump into the high. So let's see if we can actually expect any sort of pullback. If we have a look at the whole daily move, it is this one. Exactly in the middle, we have a little bit of a range, kind of rally-based rally type of demand. So we can potentially expect some sort of development right there. But if I just follow the daily time frame, it is perfectly bullish. So my expectation is, of course, to be targeting this high. So we're just stopping like this in the middle to potentially initiate a little pullback because we cannot just stop right there and straight pump into the highs. Of course, it's possible, but the market has to stop for a little bit, pull back, accumulate a little bit, tap, and then just go. So this is the first area that I will be looking to long from. And what we can already see on the 50-minute is that we're having some sort of bearishness kicking in, which means that the higher high has already been created. We can see, of course, a couple of bearish candles. So if you wish, you can attempt, as we said on the DXY, you can attempt to take a short, possibly, which is risky. But then if we pull back towards these areas, I will be simply looking for buys. Okay, so as simple as it gets, this is my analysis on UJ. We can have a couple of shorts early week if the market decides to pull back, of course, and if we're given the confirmation. Then tapping inside this level, I will start looking for longs. I do believe this level is pretty nice because this one is going to get too deep. The market does not always pull back like all the way down. It will really need a lot of liquidity to do so. We can see it here. Right, but this is more like a liquidity grab. So the liquidity is grabbed right now. We're massively initiating into the highs. We're potentially targeting these highs right there. So a 50% pullback for me is more than enough to start getting long. So potentially set your alerts right there, wait for the market to tap, then start focusing on longs, and then potentially let's see if we can continue to the upside. All right, let's have a look at the GBPs starting from GU. So once again, we had just tapped inside this lower high formation right here, and we are on our way down. So if we just simply analyze the weekly time frame, well, the market is, yeah, I don't want to say supposed to, but if we just expect what could happen, or if we forecast, well, then we could be taking this low in order to create a new lower low and follow with the overall weekly momentum down. Let's drop to the daily. So pretty much I did not expect to just have a tap and go from here. I expected another pump into the highs, maybe a little bit of a consolidation, but the market just tapped and it just went. Okay, this was a level that I really wanted to see get tapped, but like EU, GU just continued to melt to the downside. And currently, where are we? We're just in the middle right now. The next potential reaction area will be this one on the daily, and I don't think we're going to react much from this because this is so close towards creating a new lower low. And yeah, most of the times the market is just going to smash through it and make a new lower low and then potentially initiate a pullback. Okay, so trying to go long could be a little bit of a suicide. Currently we would love to see a little bit of a pullback. We can see this little guy right there, kind of again a rally type of demand. We tapped inside and we're already giving the reaction. Right now the major 4-hourly lower high is this one. So can we potentially pull back towards this level to take a beautiful short? GU tends to pull back more than the 50%, so this can definitely be the case, but pretty much as simple once again as it gets. I keep this analysis pretty simple, by the way, this week, because I didn't have any trades and the market is pretty much straightforward. We're just having pushes and pretty much the agenda is to wait for a pullback, right? So again, there is my analysis, there is my high, there is my low, 50% is here. So as soon as we tap, we can start looking for shorts. Currently, longs could be in play, to be honest, because if we expect a higher pullback, then the market created this lower low. We had this little introduction of buyers that broke structure, then we pulled back. We kind of faked the low, but then you can see after the fake, we have another break of structure with massive momentum. Then this created this hourly higher low demand as well, and we can already see the reaction going through. So I do think also on EU, AU, GU, we could have some sort of longs incoming. That will be really nice to see, because it means that the DXY is gonna pull back, EU is gonna pull back, AU, GU, and then we can potentially just focus after the tap of the 50%. We can just focus on taking it down, because this is the bias and we are traveling towards weekly zones to the downside. So this is really good. But yes, currently this is the situation. I think it's slightly bit risky to just go long on a Monday, because we can of course liquidate even lower and then potentially initiate another pullback. But if you just ask what is my expected outcome, I expect the market to pull back towards the 50% and then to potentially start flushing, as are all my expectations across the currency board this week. Okay, but there is a possibility for potential long, so make sure to utilize your trading strategies to potentially catch a long if your rules actually say so. But as soon as we pull back towards this zone, then start looking for shorts, because the overall expectancy is to continue pushing lower. Let's have a look at GJ. So yeah, this one pushed. Right now we're pulled back. Bullish USD JPY is causing this one to kind of, yeah, close a little bit more bullish than bearish. But yes, it's a bit too hard on this one. We're going to have a monthly analysis next week, but currently, yes, we're just stuck in this kind of weekly range. If I try to look more on the short term on the daily, we're having this massive pump into the highs. And right now we're just stuck in the middle, potentially reacting from this little guy, which, yeah, actually got faked. Wow, GJ is actually hard. For the GJ lovers, how are you trading this one nowadays? Shorter term, it looks bullish. So again, I will be looking at this major range right here. I really like this range, because this is where really the momentum kicked in. And as you can see, if you also took this range right there, this one was broken. And currently, we are bullish on the short term, right? But if we drop our range, we are above 50%, but the market is still bullish. So depending on how you look at GJ, I know a lot of you trade GJ and you're looking at it with different trading strategies and stuff. I know GJ works a lot with support and resistance as well. But currently for me, this market is bullish on the 4H. So as long as we remain above the higher lows, so the last higher low is actually this one. Why? Because it caused a break of structure. Even if you look at it like this, there is a body close, we pull back, we're reacting. So for me, it will be nice to react and then massively break to the downside, and then potentially I can start looking for shorts. This is my only case that I will be looking for shorts. But yes, in the meantime, we are still long. We can still be looking for longs. You can see the market is just pushing up, pulling back all the way down. Even the 15-minute time frame is starting to shift. So the question is, are we going to pull back so much higher towards like 155.5? Right, this is a question that's only the market is going to answer. But so far, guys, if you're looking for shorts on GJ, I think it's not ready as long as we remain above this level. Okay, so if we break below this level, then cool, look for a pullback and start shorting. Then your next target will be this guy right here. So that will be really good. And I do think we can actually have this week. So stay tuned, follow the price, follow the momentum, and follow the structure. If we have a look at GA, this is massively exploding along with AU as well. So yeah, massive pump into the highs. Again, I don't trade GA. I'm actually going to be removing it. Possibly I'm going to be removing it for the next video. But we just took out this weekly high, which was really good. So we had this massive push, we had this massive pullback. Right now we are just pumping into the highs. On the 4-hourly, we had a pullback right there, which initiated a new higher high. So pretty much this is our range. And this is the whole range where we would like to see the market pullback in order to start buying. So if you just want my simple analysis, there it is. Okay, just breaking it simply down. Of course, there are a lot of factors because we just broke above this major level, so we can expect a deeper pullback, of course. But again, my biggest tip will be to just follow 4-hourly structure, which is currently bullish. As long as we remain above this zone, we're bullish. Okay, so we're looking for a pullback right now, tap inside 1.90, and then potentially we can start moving higher. As for pullbacks, the 15-minute is starting to show us a little bit of bearishness. Okay, but I would much prefer to actually focus on longs. If I was trading this pair, wait for it to tap 50% and then start looking for my entry opportunities and my entry criteria in order to start catching some longs. And Euro GBP, as soon as I said that this one is going bullish, I think I did this one this week, it just rolled to the downside. Okay, and yeah, as you can see, massive run higher, massive run lower. So I'm possibly even going to remove this pair because I just keep covering it, but I don't trade it. I don't understand it. So it's kind of unproductive. But yes, currently I have nothing to say on this one. We had a massive run into the highs. Yeah, it didn't hold from this one. It actually faked it by a little bit. Right now we have a massive run lower. It tried to respond from the demand, which was right here. It responded and then it just rode to the downside. If you ask me about the major lower high, I don't see it clearly, to be honest. Like we had a little pullback here, then push lower, then we have this wick, then it pushed lower. So if you ask me, I would actually take this wick like this. So yes, Euro GBP is starting to look more bearish right now than bullish. We just thought it's going up and right now it's down, which is pretty sad. But this is how I would approach this pair. But I don't trade this thing and I will not be trading it, but this is how I currently understand it for those that trade it. And we also took out we just took out the low. So this one is just like ranging, taking out the lows, taking out the highs. No, we didn't take it actually. Yeah, so this one is supposed to be taken out because we have come so close. So there is liquidity resting below. So this one can get taken out. But then where are we going next? I don't know. We can have a look at the monthly analysis. But yeah, you can see that this pair is just ranging, right? Really, yeah, we trended right here 2013, 2015, then since 2016 we're just stuck in this very big range. Okay, so let's not look into this, let's not waste time. Overall, this one looks short right now, short bias over the short term. So if we have any pullback towards these levels, then I will be interested in short. So pretty much those are the GBPs. The main pair is GU, looking for shorts, potentially pull back above 50%. And also GJ is currently so far bullish. So in order for me to short this one, I will need to see an invalidated high low. Gold is making the move after the Fed announced the interest rate hikes. Of course, it makes absolute sense and it's perfectly logical. If the rates on the dollar are going to increase, then gold is going to flush because yeah, dollar at this moment seems to be the better choice. We have held from this zone right now. So if this zone holds, then what that means is that we can start potentially targeting this zone, because then this zone failed to make a new higher high. Okay, so for me, logically, it is to start targeting right now like a 1750, this sort of region right here. If we drop on the daily, we can clearly see that daily demand has failed, right? Numerous occasions, we had like a little pullback right there. We liquidated above and then we massively dropped into the downside. So hopefully some of you actually managed to catch some shorts, some of you gold traders. But there is pretty much the new supply on the daily that actually broke structure to the downside. So this will be potentially another nice short opportunity. But yes, right now we're just moving to the downside. So according to your strategies, yes, make sure to utilize. However, you're trading gold. Personally, I don't. Once again, I'm just looking at it over the long term and more like for the overall economic outlook, because gold is a commodity that is driven by numerous factors, of course. But if I was trading it, I would look for a pullback, at least towards the 50%, and then potentially to start targeting this zone. We can, of course, react from this zone right here, because this is the zone with this huge wick where we introduced a lot of volume, and we haven't pulled back right here. So what we could have is a tap, a reaction, lower high, and then just a drop once again. So with my limited experience on gold, I can start calling like 1752 to get taken out. The question is, how do we get in? Well, we would love to see any pullbacks. And of course, for me, I always look for 50%, but I'm not sure how gold is actually working out. So if I was trading this one, I would wait for at least this level to tap to create a lower high and then start flushing and then targeting this zone. If we have something like this right now, tap inside, if it reacts, then I will still be looking for a lower high and then take it lower. Okay, so I am bearish on gold. It makes sense to be bearish on gold with the dollar value increasing, interest rates, then gold. Investors are starting to lose interest on gold, interested in gold. Yep, so pretty much I do think this one will decline. So let's see if this will be the case. Let's look at the indices, and if you're following any financial websites, you are possibly seeing articles every single day. And I hate it because those guys are just following on the short-term blips of the market. Like every single day, the S&P has dropped 2% or 3% or 4%. And then you actually see at the end of the day, it has recovered all the way up. So there is a big hype right now going on. A lot of crashes are being called, which I personally don't believe much with. Because if you have a look at the fundamentals of the companies, and everything. Yes, of course, the tech sector had a little fall, which is why the NASDAQ had the biggest loss, even up until today. But overall, the S&P is doing great. We have the earnings period right now. The majority of the companies are also doing great. The labor market is strong. The companies are profitable. In fact, we very recently had Visa and Apple, which are one of my two biggest investments. They just rocketed. So I made a lot on this one. And everything actually looks nice. We do not have another COVID. Of course, the only worry is inflation, but if the Fed is going to battle inflation, then this is not necessarily bad for the stock market. So my biggest tip for you, if you are in the stock market, is to just keep buying as you're doing on usual and keep savoring those discounts, right? Because not often you see a 10% decline on US 30 and also a 12% decline on S&P. Right, so I think it was around 12.5 even. Okay, but pretty much yes, we are currently rejecting. You can see that actually we massively dropped, and we have a very nice pin bar, but yeah, pretty much a very nice rejection right here. If we examine, like it took out all of these lows right here, so people that were possibly long, all of them are being stopped out, and we went into the absolute extreme, which was this one right here. So this is personally the last resort, and if this one again breaks, we can start looking for lower regions. I don't have my full, I have a strategy for trading stocks actually and indices, but it's not here on this template. But yes, pretty much my next buy zones will be down there. But as you can see, we tapped inside and you can see all the pressure. So we tap inside buyers, and we tried to buy, we failed, buyers, have a look at the wicks. Okay, but for me personally, in order to see more confirmation, I would love to see some sort of creation of higher highs, because if you're trading those intraday, then this is slightly bit dangerous. But I would love to see a nice pump into the highs to really confirm a new higher high pullback, and then from there we can start trending higher. Keep in mind that the uncertainty is still very high, right? The uncertainty is still very high. A lot of investors are starting to take profits on the announcement of interest rate hike, which I don't think it's logical, because it's not that bad for the stock market in my opinion. Okay, there are other factors that are influencing it, but yes, currently US 30 holding from this level. So let's see if it's actually really gonna hold. My opportunity will be to see a confirmed higher high, so something like this, pullback, and then potentially we can start seeing if we're gonna start climbing. Of course, the stock market is not gonna be the same as it was due to that. Of course, with the tapering process, the Fed is not gonna start pouring more money to support companies as well. So the growth could start slowing down a little bit, but that does not mean that they are not going to grow. Okay, so Nasdaq, the tech heavy index, is really nicely dropping, but we can see that it's also rejecting right now. The drop on this one was really nice, 18%. So if you're not buying this 18% dip, then I don't know what you're gonna buy. Okay, like the Corona crisis was 30, so right now we're having 80, so it's almost like another crash. Okay, so just giving you a little bit of an insight right there. Currently respecting this sort of a level, but in order to see a full reversal, of course, we have to see, you see that we're having this accumulation period right now. If you're into whack off, this could also be a whack off, so we can expect the market to pump to the downside and then start reversing into the highs. But this is how I'm looking into it right now. Not rushing for anything. I also don't invest in trades in Nasdaq. I know a lot of you do, but if you're looking to start taking it long, then of course wait for a confirmed higher high, maybe wait for another manipulation into the lows to tap deeply into this demand right here. You can go and refine it on the 4H. You can see we have numerous levels right here to potentially tap. But yeah, I think after such a big decline, it's time for us to start recovering. right? We haven't seen an 18% decline in a long time. And again, to be honest, the tech companies are doing good. So I think this is more like a hype, more like a priced pullback just before the Fed spoke. But as I told you, the Fed was pretty hawkish. So this is kind of good for the US economy. So I am pretty much bullish on the indices. And I heavily also invested in S&P. I cut it from the absolute bottom right there. But yeah, this is pretty much kind of the level that we respected. We took out this low, right, which was not really nice. We also took out this low by a little bit, and you can immediately see the pressure, right? Massive bearishness, everyone panicking. And then exactly on that day, for example, you see the market opened, it opened right here, and it went 4%, and the headlines are like S&P is down 4%, crash. And then at the end of the day, the market even recovered. It ended up positive, right? So don't listen too much to the news, focus on your technicals. But yes, overall, after this massive dip, this is where I bought it from down there. Of course, it's not with leverage and margin. We started having a little bit of bullishness right here. But again, I'm personally waiting to see if we're going to have a confirmed higher high, pullback, confirmed higher low, and then to potentially see if we're going to have any bullishness. Of course, then I have to check my other analysis, but we have a buy area down there. And I think the next buy area is at 18% drop. So it's possibly, yeah, somewhere right here. And yeah, the more it drops, the better it is. But again, if we just compare it to the COVID crash, which I think was around 35%, right now you're having almost half, which is like 12. Yeah, it's not half, but almost. So I do think this is a great opportunity to buy. And if you compare it to all the other drops, like 20%, a little drop of 11% right there, like the biggest crash, of course, like 57, we cannot compare it to this one. But I don't think the economy is about to crash like this. So I pretty much think that this dip is nice. And the more it dips, the more we dollar cost average. So make sure to actually learn this kind of concept. Cryptos. Nicely holding from the last resort right there, 34K on Bitcoin. And yeah, a lot of bears also on crypto. So I'm not a big crypto enthusiast. I was just like swing trading it. I made my profits last year, and I'm currently, of course, reinvesting it. And I'm actually doubting if I do so. So I have a lot of still earnings that are left to invest, but I do think to transfer them onto my stock brokerage account instead of putting them into crypto, because yeah, they are declining right now. The uncertainty is also high. We have a lot of people calling like even 4K or something, or 12K. Yeah, well, definitely possible. But as crypto is becoming mainstream right now, I'm not sure. But yes, pretty much if you just simply follow the technicals, our last major lower high is right here. So as long as we remain below this one, then we are bearish. We have seen a little reaction from the 34, even 33 we tap. So can we tap a little bit further into 32? Definitely could be possible. There is the Wyckoff schematic right there, massive pump. So we came all the way down to tap inside this zone. So very crucial to actually monitor how it goes. Personally, I'm not going to put more money without confirmation. Because of course I also dollar cost average Bitcoin, but right now as we are in a bear market, the idea is not really nice. Okay, so yeah, I was thinking on another drop, maybe at 32, I'm gonna buy it for one last time, and then of course if it starts to drop, then it's money that I can afford to lose, and of course I'm gonna keep holding it. But yes, currently in this very tricky stage, we see a little bit of bullishness on the 4H. Like we have this lower low. We have a new higher high. It's starting to kind of a little bit push, but have a look at the momentum that comes from the upside. Massive downside right here. So again, yeah, just don't buy without confirmation. It's actually much better to short it. Ethereum as well, tapping into kind of also the last resort, which is like 2K. I'm still waiting for 2K. I do think there is more downside both on Bitcoin and Ethereum. The last lower high on this one is this one. So as long as we remain below it, we are bearish, okay? But I'm also looking for another dip into the lows. Then I will put some money at 2K, and then potentially we can see if we start having a recovery. And then of course, if this zone fails, if like 2K, if 1.8 fails, then of course we can open up 1K and even lower. So again, with crypto, it's indecisive. It is not, what I don't like about crypto is that it's not backed by anything. It doesn't have value within it, right? Of course, if it's more mainstream right now, we feel with the metaverse and stuff, if it's going to be utilized, if it actually has any value, then fine. But at this moment, it actually feels more like air. While with stocks, you have real people behind them, you have real operations, you have real products, you have real profits, right? So yeah, slightly bit skeptical, but of course I keep buying because it's sort of an investment. Of course, you can allocate like 10, maximum 20. 20 is even too much of your portfolio, of your investment portfolio into crypto. But yes, this is for you to decide. Okay, so this is how I'm going to end up this video. It was rather short. I didn't have much details to share from any trades or stuff. Currently working very hard on the revamp for my private program. It is literally going amazing. So I'm really happy to release it next month. And then of course, I'm going to start giving my best to post more educational videos on the channel. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like, subscribe as well. Have an amazing weekend. And I wish you also a crushing week, and stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis on Telegram.